Hello and welcome back to another video, and today's video was actually requested by a viewer. I would have done this video last week, but I already had the video planned, so I had to put it forward to this week. However, I do think that this was like a really interesting video topic, and I'm glad it was suggested. So to the person who suggested this video, thank you. I actually didn't think of this. So the video is about Zinedine Zidane and where he's going to be coaching next, because he is currently a manager free agent. I don't know if I said that right. I don't know if there's an actual term for it, but yeah, he is a free agent manager. And to be honest, there has been quite a bit of speculation on where he will go. I mean, for the last couple of years, there's been a bit of speculation. I've heard a lot of teams involved. I've heard that he actually was ready to go to certain teams, certain big teams. I've heard certain teams ruled out. So yeah, he hasn't coached in a while. However, he has already had 2 spells at Real Madrid. So it's not like he's coming into like a different team or whatever when he goes to a big team. So really, first of all, I'm just going to go really kind of through his manager record, because I think that is quite important, because some people might not remember that he's been a manager. Some people might not remember he's managed Real Madrid. So really, his manager record is he's coached for 263 matches. He has 174 wins, 53 draws and 36 losses. And I know that obviously, he's managed Real Madrid, so he's going to have this type of record. But the thing is, when you manage a top team, it's not guaranteed that you'll have success. I mean, just look at my team, Manchester United. Yeah, we've had quite a few managers come in, and so you really need to know the system. You need to, not necessarily the system, but you need to have the right system. You don't necessarily need to have the system that club genuinely plays. I mean, because a lot of teams, especially the top teams, have a system that they really have played throughout their history, and obviously that can be changed with different managers, but they usually do have like a historical system that they generally use. So I think it did help that Zidane was a player for Real Madrid and he knows the club and everything inside and out, but he did still go on and do very, very well at Real Madrid. So going on to his honours, he has won the world's best coach twice. He has 3 Champions League titles. He has 2 Club World Cups, 2 La Ligas, 2 Super Cups, 2 UEFA Super Cups, 2 Spanish Super Cups, and yeah, that's what he's won with the Real Madrid first team. I mean, I think he has coached the Real Madrid second team, but I'm just looking at the first team when he managed them. So really the big question is, where will Zidane eventually end up? Because there's going to be a lot of suitors really for Zidane. I mean, there are quite a few big teams that need a coach, like a very, very good coach, to really take them to the next level. So I think it will be interesting, considering that there are no shortage of rumours. To be honest, I haven't really heard that, there's no teams that want Zidane, or there aren't many teams that want Zidane, even though I'm pretty sure he does have his own ideas of where he wants to go. So the one thing that I have found is, though, he has apparently, according to this article that will be on screen, he has ruled out going to the Premier League, and according to this article, that is due to the language. So by the sounds of it, he doesn't really want to learn he probably doesn't want to take the time to learn English. He'll probably want to go to another foreign country that he might already know the language of. And to be honest, I don't really see a problem with that. I think some people might see a problem with it, which I don't think is really that big of an issue. I mean, if he doesn't want to learn the language, he doesn't want to learn the language. He wants to go straight to a team and start coaching there. So there are a few teams that he has reportedly said that he would like to go to, and I'm just going to go through a few teams now, just the ones that I've heard. But also before that, I don't think he hasn't really ruled out a third spell at Real Madrid, which I do think would be quite interesting, because it's like really because they're a different team now as well. And really, I think it would be interesting to see how he kind of deals with the game being modernised a bit more as well, and plus how he deals with the younger players in the team. So talking about Real Madrid, the first team that I've got is Real Madrid, and really this one for me is a bit of a situational one, because at the moment I don't think it's likely that he will go back to that team because of how well they've done with Ancelotti. I mean, last year they did win the Champions League, so I don't think Real Madrid would get rid of Ancelotti, because Ancelotti, he's one of the best managers ever, really. He's won the Champions League. I think he's won the Champions League a record number of times for a manager. So I think they'll stick with him. And it's like, when a team is winning, especially how well Real Madrid are, you don't change the manager because he's doing something right. And it's like, it's one of those things where if you change the manager back to Zidane and he doesn't do as well, you're going to get blasted by the press. And also in Spain, the press are like, they're not horrible. It's just they, especially with the top teams like Madrid and Barcelona, they want the success, if you get what I mean. They want that success, and when that success doesn't come, they will look for people to blame. And sacking a coach that just won the Champions League for a coach that he might even win the Champions League if Zidane came to Madrid, but I just don't think it is worth taking the risk of that, because they already have a brilliant coach in Ancelotti. So I think Zidane would come back to Madrid further down the line, and really the only reason he would come and do that is to continue his legacy at Madrid, because that was the team that he went and made his name for, which I could see him doing. A lot of players like doing that. They like going to the team that they mainly played for and continuing that legacy. So Madrid, I do think he would come back, but I do not think it will kind of be soon. He might be in the next 5-10 years, but I don't think it'll be soon. I think he'll go to another team. So the next team that I've got is PSG, which personally, I think this would be an interesting fit, because I do see them kind of as a similar team to that Real Madrid team that he coached to win, the three Champions Leagues in a row. I do think it is a similar kind of fit of a team. I don't think they're not the same team, but it's kind of the same all-star super team that he coached at Madrid. So I do think this would be an interesting fit to see how he would coach that team, and also how he would deal in Ligue 1, because that's meant to be an easier league. So how would he deal in the Champions League, coaching in a league like that? Also, with PSG having a few kind of rocky results as well, could he get them playing better? Could he get Messi, Neymar and Mbappe really playing at their best? Which I do think that would be interesting to see if he could do that. Also, Zidane will be coaching Messi as well, which I do think would be interesting to see how he uses him. And I do think it would be good for him to go to another team as well. I mean, to go to another team other than Real Madrid, he could get more experience and he could pick up other things. But also coaching a player like Messi and Ronaldo, not a lot of them really could. Not a lot of coaches could really say that. However, he might not care about that. But the one thing that really he could set himself apart from is winning PSG their first Champions League title as a manager, and that would be an absolutely huge legacy thing for Zidane. So I think PSG is a likely one, to be honest, and I would like to see him there, really, at a team like that. So the next one, I don't really think is very likely. So the third team I've got down is Juventus, and considering what has recently happened with Juventus, I don't think this is very likely. They've just been deducted 15 points, and I think they're like mid-table in Serie A or something like that. And when a team like Juventus is like mid-table in Serie A, it's like a lot of teams are going to, well, a lot of managers are going to be put off managing them, really, because it's like they're a club in absolute turmoil, and it's just not a very attractive place to go, especially if you don't do as well. It can kind of ruin your reputation as a manager. Plus, they're also in a really bad financial situation. But the plus side would be, it would be good to see if he could rebuild Juventus. But the only issue with that is, considering the financial state they're in, and, you know, they're not really going to be in the Champions League next season, a lot of players are probably going to want to leave. So I wouldn't think he would take on that challenge, really, because of how bad the situation is, which I don't really blame him, to be honest. But with that, I really, really don't think he would go to Juventus. I think this is probably the least likely of all of them. Even less likely than... I think he'd probably go to Real Madrid before he goes to Juventus again. I think that's more likely to happen. However, the last team I've got on the list is Bayern Munich, and for me, this is an interesting one, because it's like, I don't think it's that Bayern are falling off or anything. It's more like they've drawn their last 4 matches. They're being caught up in the Bundesliga. So could Zidane get them back to kind of dominating the Bundesliga like they have for the last decade? It's a challenge with Bayern, but it's not like a huge challenge like Juventus, like they've actually dropped off and they're in mid-table. So I do think that this would be... this would be a good fit due to kind of them dropping off in form. And Bayern Munich do have a tendency to change their managers every couple of seasons. So the Bayern one, it would be good to see what he could do with a squad like Bayern, who are quite young and talented. They've bought quite a few young talented players. It would be interesting to see how he would use them and how he would kind of line up and things like that. So really with Bayern, I do think that this would be like a likely one that he would at least consider because of their situation. Like, they're not completely set up perfectly, but they're set up well, and it's a team that you can come in and really help as well. So yeah, really with Bayern, I think he's kind of got to go back to really, first of all, dominating the league domestically and then the Champions League. But he might be under a bit of pressure there, to be honest, because they did win a Champions League a few seasons ago. So I don't know if he would want to take up that challenge, but I do think Bayern would be very likely. So those are the 4 teams that I've looked at. And really, I think the most likely teams that he would go to really would be either PSG or Bayern Munich, and I do think both of those would be like very interesting teams for him to go to, like I stated above, obviously because of like their situations. And I think they also do have the best situations for Zidane, outside of Madrid obviously, but I've stated why I don't think he'll go to Madrid above. But yeah, I do think they have really the best situations for Zidane, and I think they have the most interesting situations. So those are really my thoughts on the teams that Zidane's been linked with, the teams that I think he would go to, the teams that I think he would be more likely to go to. So if you have any video suggestions, just put them in the comments. I might not be able to do them straight away, like if you have a video suggestion, because usually I plan a video quite early on in the week, so I might have to do it the week after. But if you do give me a video suggestion, I will note it down and I will get to it. I will try and get to it the week after if I've already got a video planned. If I haven't got a video planned, I'll do that one that week. But once again, thank you to the viewer who suggested the video. Put what you think about Zidane and where he'll go as a coach next. Put that down in the comments. If you like the video, if you agree with what I've said about the teams, or you agree with what I've said mostly about the teams, leave a like on the video. It also shows that if you like these types of videos, I can do these again. And yeah, so also if you like these types of videos, subscribe. I do kind of a range of videos, really depending on what I think is topical and obviously what I have suggested to me. So do all of that good stuff. Have a great rest of your week, and hopefully I'll see you next week for another video.